How we doing, guys? So a video that's a little bit different, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory with the title, what it's about, the Ballon d'Or, because last night we had the winner of the Ballon d'Or announced with Rodri, and there's been this massive uproar over Vinicius not winning. In particular, Real Madrid, who have just thrown their toys out of the pram and said, we're not turning up. We don't want anything to do with it. And I'll get onto that in a moment, because that is just childish and pathetic. And for the biggest club in the world to act in such a spoiled and entitled way says how little class they actually have. But I was sitting there and I was thinking about this today, and I've not really bothered about the Ballon d'Or since 2003, when Thierry Henry was robbed by Pavel Nedved. People were saying that this is a robbery. That was a robbery. Okay? And what I've done today is I've been looking at statistics and looking at everything, and I've not really paid much attention to Vinicius' stats last season and what he did in La Liga in particular, and we know what he did in the Champions League, scoring in the final and everything else. But I thought, let me have a little look at this, and I was actually quite shocked at how poor his stats are. And games where I've watched him, there's moments where you go, wow. And it's that Brazilian flair, shall we say. And there's a lot of games where I watch him and I think, what's all the hype about? There's nothing really there. And that's just my honest assessment, with respect to that. And I look at him in La Liga last season, right? And he had 15 goals and 5 assists, not 15. 15 goals, 5 assists, right? And I look, for example, at Bukayo Saka, and I'll use him as an example here. 16 goals, 9 assists. And I sit there and think to myself, is Real Madrid's PR that good? And the reasoning behind why Vinicius is where he is in terms of having this conversation about him winning a Ballon d'Or. If you were to put Bukayo Saka into Real Madrid's team and he was producing the stats that he does for Madrid, what he does with Arsenal, you'd be looking at Bukayo Saka in the top 3 and in contention for the Ballon d'Or. If he goes and wins the Champions League with Real Madrid and he's pulling off the numbers consistently season after season for Madrid that he does for Arsenal, then surely their PR would catapult him into that conversation. He finished 21st, by the way. And my argument here is that the Ballon d'Or as a whole is just a sham. It's just an absolute farce. And the reasoning why I say this as well is because I look at some of the players and where they finish, for example. And I look at Harry Kane that finished in 10th. And you look at his numbers and what he did for Bayern Munich. But obviously they've looked and gone, okay, well, you didn't win the Bundesliga and you didn't win the Champions League, so you're all the way down in 10th. And I look at that and think, something not right with that. I'm looking at Lookman, for example, in 14th, and Nico Williams in 15th. And I'm like, how on earth are these guys ahead of the likes of Bukayo Saka and Cole Palmer? Nico Williams scored 5 goals in La Liga last season. I think his performances more in the Euros are what kind of propelled him into everybody's conversation. But over the course of a season, better than Saka, better than Cole Palmer. No. Lookman, 11 goals in Serie A. But the real reason why he's in 14th place is because of what he did in the Europa League final. 1 game. Better than Saka and Cole Palmer, for example. No. I'm looking at the Manager of the Year award, and it was given to Carlo Ancelotti. Great achievement, what he did and everything else. But was he better than Xavi Alonso and what he achieved? No. How on earth did he have a better season than Bayer Leverkusen? Broke the Bayern Munich monopoly. Unbeaten. Only lost one game, and that was that final against Atalanta in the Europa League. Why is Xavi Alonso not winning it? Emi Martinez winning the best goalkeeper again. I'd go as far as saying that Emi Martinez is probably just about getting into the top 5 goalkeepers in the Premier League. And here he is winning the best goalkeeper. And his overall position in the Ballon d'Or was 18th. What? But you're trying to say he's the best goalkeeper in the world? Please. I just genuinely look at some of these, finishing places and I'm left scratching my head. Mo Salah, not even in the 30. Mo Salah, not in the 30. Are you insane? I honestly don't get it. I really, really, really don't get it. And you're looking at Rodri. Unbelievable player. Quality player. But I'm looking at it as well and I'm thinking to myself, doesn't even get into the team of the year in the Premier League. But yet wins the Ballon d'Or. Jude Bellingham finishing 3rd. And I'm looking at that as well. And don't get me wrong, he had a good season at Madrid, especially at the beginning. But every time I watch Jude Bellingham, particular for England, I watch him and I'm kind of left scratching my head a lot of the times and thinking, what's the hype? A lot of the time he has really, really, really poor games for England and then he'll come up with a moment and score a goal and you're left sitting there thinking, wow, nobody's talking about the performance no more. Nobody's going to be speaking about how poor he was because he's just scored a goal. And I suppose you could look at that and say it's a clutch moment or whatever it might be. But I look at it more like the fact that it papers over his all-round game. Because every time I watch him, in particular for England, I'm not impressed. That's just my honest assessment. So again, is it the Real Madrid PR as to why he's in the top 3? And there was talk, a couple of months ago, it was between him and Vinicius to win it. So this is what I say. Cole Palmer, Bukayo Saka, any one of these players that I'm mentioning, and they went into Real Madrid's team with the PR behind them, won a Champions League, pulled off the numbers that they do at club level, they would instantly go from where they finished, this time round to being in contention to winning it. So is it right that you can possibly win something based on the PR surrounding you? It's just an absolute sham. And if I had my way, and I'll be honest about this, and I've said this and I've tweeted it and I say it wholeheartedly with my chest, if you gave me the choice between Vinicius or Bukayo Saka, I'm choosing Bukayo Saka all day long. It's as simple as that. If you go to Chelsea, I'm pretty adamant that the majority of Chelsea fans, if you said Vinicius or Cole Palmer, they will keep Cole Palmer. If you went to Liverpool fans and you said Vinicius or Mo Salah, I'm pretty confident that most of the Liverpool fans would say they keep Mo Salah. And I think even Man City, I know that he's, not hit the heights of last season. But I think if you speak to most Man City fans and you say Phil Foden or Vinicius or even Erling Haaland, Vinicius, I think the majority will keep the players they've got. Let's be honest about it. One of the only clubs you can probably go to and say, would you keep Rashford or Anthony or Vinicius, you know what the answer would be? They'd be taking them themselves and flying them out to Spain to swap them with Vinicius. Jeez. But, like, I just think the whole thing, the uproar and everything else, and the way that Real Madrid have, you know, handled this and spoke about this. And I think the biggest question for me is probably when you look at that top 10, for example, and you see the top 3 that are battling it out. Have we been so spoiled by the Messi and Ronaldo era that we've got players fighting for the Ballon d'Or now that are not even near the levels that those two produced season after season? Because like I said, when you look at Vinicius, you know, his numbers for the season, they're poor. I'll give you a list, right, of players. Now, there's so many that I won't actually go through all of them, that actually had more goals and assists than Vinicius last season. And listen, I think this is quite staggering, to be quite honest with you. And I wasn't, you know, sure it was real until I checked. But like my argument a moment ago with the Ronaldo and Messi situation, when they was winning Ballon d'Ors, and coincidentally, they were both at the ceremonies, despite, you know, who was winning and whatnot. And there was no throwing toys out of prams and going, I'm not going to be there, I don't want that. But I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, right, look at the players that statistically were better than Vinicius last season. Goals and assists, right? Harry Kane, Mbappe, Palmer, Ollie Watkins, Haaland, Openda, Lautaro Martinez, Mo Salah, Foden, Lewandowski, Marcus Thuram, Heung-min Son, Bellingham even had more goals and assists than Vinicius. Aubameyang, Grimaldo, Saka, Isak, Jonathan David, Olivier Giroud, Boniface, Jared Bowen, Dybala, Alexandre Lacazette, and Dominic Solanke. They all had more goals and assists than Vinicius last season. One's in contention for the Ballon d'Or and there's been absolute uproar. And the rest, are you mad? Like I said, when it was Messi, Ronaldo, and you were pulling out the stats, nobody got near them. Nobody. That's actually mad. Lacazette and Solanke with more goals and assists in the league than Vinicius. Oh, mate, please. But yeah, listen. My point still stands. I'm taking Bukayo Saka all day long over Vinicius. It's as simple as that. Debate it all you want. Say what you want. Let me know in the comment section. Yeah, it's going to spark a lot of debate, no doubt. But it is what it is at the end of the day. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button. Smash a like on this video. And I will see you lot soon. I'm out of here.